Okay, let's call this meeting to order at 5:30. And I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting's being recorded. And consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public view and/or listen to the meeting in real time. Persons who would like to be invited can contact Sherry in the town hall. If you do not have a camera, microphone on your computer, there's a dial-in number as well. So let's get the first order of business tonight is public participation. Any member of the public who wishes to address the Advisory Board of Public Works is asked to submit any comments or concerns, preferred or in writing, at the secure drop-off boxes at the town hall, at least 2 hours to the prior start of the meeting. Do we have anything tonight, Adam or Joe? Any participation?
None given that I know of.
Okay.
I do not have any. Ann, do you have anything? Malcolm.
That one was easy. Number 2, board update.
Sure, I'll kick this one off. So it's obviously been the better half of the summer since we all got together and met. Albeit there's not a ton of stuff on this agenda, but I thought it would be good to just get the group together and kind of talk about some things. Summer has progressed nicely for us, playing certainly some catch up related to the shutdown that happened with COVID. And then that tree storm on top of it didn't exactly make the month of September easy breezy for any means. But we're on schedule to get everything done that we were hoping to get accomplished done, and looking forward to a nice, mild couple of next months. We just started reading, so we're through our second billing cycle with water. And we will be putting out our RFP for recycling soon. So before we get into that agenda item, do you have anything that you want to add to that, Ann?
I wanted to give an update on simple recycling. That's all right. So, so far, we've got about 50,000 pounds that have gone through simple recycling. So it's been definitely a big success, I think. Not too many calls, a few calls on how apartment buildings can get involved and a few missed pickups, but I think simple recycling has been excellent about responding. So far, so good.
Great.
That's excellent. Awesome. Let's see. Okay. Number 3, recycling. Joe?
So like I had mentioned before, we're about a year away from our contract with JRM for recycling collection to expire. So we have to put that out to RFP soon. It's my intent to have that out and awarded before the new year. That way Ann and I have the budget numbers that we need, so we could do next fiscal's budget. One of the things that I sent you over the weekend, we have an interesting opportunity to ask potential proposers for creative ideas, right? Sorry, I'm creative ideas to try to reduce the waste stream and see if there's any expansion to our scope of services that we could add. So what I sent out over the weekend was kind of a brainstorm of some of the things that us at Public Works were thinking about putting into this and trying to get different vendors to give us proposals on. So I wanted to kind of strike some creativity in you and see if anybody could come up with anything that you might want to include in that. The foundation of this bid is obviously going to be, pricing for biweekly collection and weekly collection. I'm not 100% sure what the financial picture is going to look like, but we'll cover our bases related to that. Everything that I provided in the brief memo that I sent out is basically some alternatives, right? So I know we were talking about composting, textiles. There's some other different things related to education that I think to highlight that are important. We're looking to try to get somebody who wants to partner with us, not so much, work for us. We really want to be kind of together in this waste reduction. So I guess I would ask, what does everybody think of the list that we sent out?
I thought it was great.
So do you think, we did a little bit of searching around, do you think there's anything that we missed that we need to include in this?
The only thing that I thought of after I had emailed you back was there's all that stuff that TerraCycle and some of those other companies, I don't know who else does it, but stuff that they take, it's kind of oddball stuff. It's a lot of stuff that most people think is recyclable, including me forever. I've thrown like my deodorant things in. I usually like take out the thing with the leftover deodorant and then throw the container in the recycling. Apparently those can't go in curbside. They do like juice boxes and pouches for different, food pouches and different things. And in fact, I saw the other day in one of the Melrose schools, they had a bin that said TerraCycle on it where they were collecting toothbrushes and toothpaste tubes,
Oh, interesting.
which I didn't know they took. So I don't know, they do all sorts of stuff, but like I said, it's pretty specialized. It's more like something you might want to have a collection bin for at DPW or at town hall or something.
Yep.
Because you're probably not going to collect huge volumes of this stuff. But I wasn't sure if there might be some way to roll that into the bid so that they have to, set up the bins and get them off to TerraCycle or whatever company takes them.
We could certainly do that. I think that I mentioned plastic bags. Curbside collecting plastic bags is probably something that they're not going to be completely capable of handling. But right now, the Environmental Sustainability Committee is doing a plastic bag recycling event. We have a drop-off bin here at Town Hall. Home Depot, believe it or not, takes the bags where we weigh them. For every 500 pounds of plastic bags they get, the company Trex donates them a bench. So could we pick it up at the curb? No. Could we put some sort of station where people can bring the bags to, where they could drop them off and they'd be collected as needed? Absolutely. That's kind of what I.
Bringing ours down to town hall.
What's that?
We've been bringing ours down to town hall. We usually bring them to Stop and Shop, but there was some good press about the bench thing on social media, and so that's where ours have been going ever since.
Yeah, so it goes through December. They were trying to get a bench for every elementary school. And I know they had we just went today, they got another 1,000 pounds in there. So you never know. I mean, I know that's always the question, if someone's not at Stop and Shop or not happen to go into Shaw's, where can they bring their bags to? So, I mean, it's relatively easy. It's kind of self-service. So we thought we'd throw it into the RFP and see if that's something that they could manage. Couple of times a week, it'd really just be sending somebody by to take a look. And if there's something in there, they grab it. If not, they would just wait to the next time. The only other thing I could think of is an electronics recycling day, maybe. See if anybody offers any services related to that. It probably wouldn't be televisions, but it would be similar to some of the fundraisers you see, where it'd be computer parts or VCRs or different things like that they could scrap for the metals inside of them. And then I ran a blank, so I posed the question to all of the group to see.
You
I like
covered
pumpkin
everything
collection.
almost.
So the pumpkin collection it came from the Greenwood. It was
I
what
know.
Rob did last year. I don't know. I threw that in there because I don't know. Obviously, we wouldn't get in the way of anything like that. But is there some sort of other type of, I would call it medium scale collection like that we can try to, leverage this contract to help out with? Pumpkins.
What do you do with the Christmas trees, Joe?
Believe it or not, so the Christmas trees we collect they go to the pig farm in Saugus.
Oh,
the goats will actually eat the evergreen, and I think they turn the pine into mulch after the fact.
Okay.
I don't know of any other use that anybody's using for that other than sending the wood chips up to places for heat, but
I shop mostly at the Stop and Shop in Reading, and they don't give plastic bags anymore. So our plastic bag use, we used to have quite a few, but we really don't have too many. We're not getting that many with weekly anymore. So, but I love the idea of having a spot where I know I could go and drop them.
I think the big one that you're going to see moving forward is the commercial world leans away from plastic bags. Will probably be those like flats that Amazon delivers. That technically plastic. The Trex program, believe it or not, will actually take those. So it's a good avenue for people that would have been normally throwing them into the trash barrel.
Yeah, the supermarket will take those too, but they always say on them, the Amazon packages always say on them that you have to cut the label off, which I'm willing to take the time to do, but I always wonder, who else is bothering?
I wouldn't want to find out the hard way, that's for sure. And then some of the other things too, I know the DEP has been in contact with us. They are a little bit more optimistic as far as the commodities market is concerned related to paper. So I thought it'd be good with Amazon and boxes going around like crazy. I do know that there's a small, slim margin in there for clean cardboard collection. So I'd be interested in seeing something related to that, whether or not, we have a bin that we manage at Nahant Street while we're open, or whether the vendor has some other program that they've rolled out somewhere else that's successful. We kind of be all ears. So just trying to be creative and think if we can generate some sort of alternative here.
So Joe, just sort of in general, I know the world of recycling has changed a lot in the past couple of years. Is it back sort of on the uptick again where, before people were sort of getting reimbursed or municipalities were sometimes getting reimbursed from what folks were shipping off to China. And now I know we're kind of on the other end of having to pay to get rid of this, but is it, as an industry, are they realizing more economies now in the past couple of years since China's been out of the picture?
I think the change is slow, but I think that people are starting to focus domestically, especially related to paper. I know people are doing some pretty crazy things with plastic and trying to make like different polymers for asphalt out of it right now. So the concentration is there to try to keep it here and reuse it here. I just think it's slow, for those technologies to kind of advance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people went doom and gloom really fast on recycling. I think it's just a market adjustment. I know that glass is still pretty tough, where you're probably paying more to process it and get rid of it than what it's worth in scrap value, shall we say. So there really is no great answer to that. I would just think that slowly people are starting to open their eyes and realize that maybe we can reuse that stuff here instead of have to throw it on a barge and ship it halfway across the world.
Right.
It hasn't done a complete 180, but I think it's slowly starting to trend in a optimistic direction. The only thing is it changes so fast. And you could probably elaborate on this. I think every day there's something new or something taken off of what is recycling and what isn't recycling.
Yeah, and I think that adds to the contamination level, which is very high right now, not just in Wakefield, but everywhere. So I think people are confused on which number of plastics they can recycle.
So
What they can do with the plastic that goes around bottles,
Well, I mean, like to Elena's point with the, the deodorant mechanism, I've, for years, thrown my half and half that I've dutifully washed and rinsed and it smells like a baby's bottom into the recycling bin. And I learned, I think at our last meeting, that that's a no, a no-go. So, I just, the guilt. So I wonder, if whoever we're sending our RFP off to, it's up to them really to come back with the clear guidelines as to what their single stream consists of. Is that right? And then we would take that and roll it into some kind of
Well,
educational program.
they are supposed to follow what the DEP says is recycling.
Okay.
So, but there is some confliction between what they say and what really happens, I believe.
Generally, we all look to the DEP, right? They kind of set the lane that everybody operates in, and then both parties try to make sure that we're doing what we can to comply with what they're telling us. Some days it's easy, some days it's tough. Like pizza boxes,
Yeah.
it must have flipped about 7 times.
Right.
Now with the grease on the box, they will take the pizza box. They just don't want, all the cheese there. Where for years and years and years and years, that was a big no-no. There was no grease on the pizza box for recycling. So
I didn't even know that.
Possible.
I didn't know that either.
No pizza. I take the top off the pizza box and recycle it.
yeah, so the new word is straight from the DEP that as long as it doesn't have a half a pound of cheese on it, the grease is no longer a factor.
Is
Oh, wow.
pepperoni grease okay?
Oh, yeah. What are you doing wasting a good pepperoni?
Wow. Well,
Yeah, I look forward to getting them back.
All right, so that leads me to another question. So the process for this is we'll put the advertisement out and we'll ask vendors to take our document, read through our document. They'll see all the things that I sent you. Then one of the things we want to do is we want to invite each company in to have a sit down, have a conversation or an interview. So the advisory board is the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. I wanted to extend the invitation to 1, 2 of you to actually sit in those conversations with us.
Sure.
So we probably won't have any of that happen until sometime in November at the earliest. We want to give them about a month, 5 weeks to evaluate things. So just at some point in time between now and then, if anybody's interested, let either Ann or I know. That way we can make sure that we have space big enough for all of us to take part. But I think it's a cool experience. They go through all their RFPs and kind of explain everything that they're proposing. And then, we would evaluate some of the pricing and ask them, different questions based on, what they're telling us. So the last time we did this, some of the things that they proposed, they might have said that they could provide service XYZ. We thought it worked a little bit better by changing a couple of things. You just go back and forth to see if you can find some happy medium between things. It's certainly a pretty cool process if you actually take part in it. So anyway, consider the invitation open.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that it for recycling?
Do you have anything else to add on that, Anne?
I don't think I do. I think we're good.
So that is it.
Okay.
Unless you guys have any other questions or anything like that. But that's kind of where we stand for right now.
No, that's a great, you got a great start there to get some quotes in and stuff. So
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd be interested to see what they come up with as far as creative. We know we're gonna get a price for either weekly or bi-weekly, but
yeah, because I'm curious. That's a hot item. I know I see multiple, complaints on social media or just talking to people in general that, we need recycling every week and it's so much to handle. But I know last time, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think there was like a $600,000 add-on last time we did this just to do it every week. So I'm curious to see, hopefully they come down so we can, do something maybe more than every other week, but.
yep, your numbers are pretty close. And then, so when they were asked, how much more of an increase in recycling would you see if we went weekly? The answers were anywhere from 3% to 20%. So then you kind of have to weigh the scale. Is it worth doubling the price of the contract to only get a 20%, increase? Or is it easier to say, hang on to it for another couple of days and we'll come by every other week and grab it all?
I'll be
Those-
honest. I complain every week about my cardboard that I have and stuff, but it stacks up. I can't believe how much how wrapped things are in cardboard. Just like over wrapping is crazy. So,
How big the box is for the small that's inside of
something tiny.
I think I've said this before, but I always wonder, how the carbon footprint comes out of, if you get more recycling, but you're spending so much more gas driving the routes again
Yeah,
every
diesel.
week instead of every other week, like where that falls out and
Yeah.
whether it's worth it environmentally.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I would guess someone on the internet somewhere has answered that question.
I'm sure.
Probably.
Okay, so moving on, number 4, policy discussion.
Okay. Ann, you want to kick this one off?
Yes, so we've been working on the abatement dispute form for water and sewer disputes. Make it a little more clear. I think we didn't have many guidelines on ours, maybe some conflicting information. So we just recently took a stab at doing it over, and we'd like to share it with you at some point, and then have you guys look it over and give us your opinion, what we might be missing. We did do some investigation into what other cities and towns are doing and try to incorporate it in.
Cool.
That's great.
Looking forward to that.
So,
Yeah. Have you had any, has anyone come, we used to have so many water hearings, it seemed like every meeting we had people that, are those?
Yeah,
since
so we currently have 10.
Okay.
10. But I think maybe we should come up with like a threshold where we would just settle them here, and then the larger ones go on to the advisory board to try to cut down on how many you're looking at. Some are cut and dry, went through the meter. There's really not a lot to say, but then
Right.
there are other ones that I think are more, need some other eyes to look at.
Mhm. Well, that sounds great, Ann. It would be, I think it would help you all so much to have an actual set guidelines that you can turn to consistently.
Yes.
Great.
that'll end up being something like the recycling document that I sent out this weekend. We'll get it to you well in advance of the next meeting. Take a read through it. Think about some of the questions that we always get, and is there a way that can we prevent it, or can we make this process more streamlined? And then we'll go from there. It should clean things up a little bit and make things a little bit more efficient.
Great.
I feel the same way about the abatements. Like, should we have a process for that? We send them to you 2 weeks in advance. We give our opinion, you guys. So by the time we get to the meeting, you've had a little time to digest. If you need more information, you could ask for it in advance, and then it wouldn't maybe continue on to the next meeting.
Yeah, that would be good.
It's all helpful.
I do think though, I have to say, sometimes telling people like, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then we'll get back to you is an easier way to end the conversation in the meetings. Because they feel like there's like this work that's going to be done, and, as opposed to giving them a no answer right then and there on the spot. Kind of softens the blow.
And I think that's definitely good for when people come in, because they may add something to it. But the people who don't come, maybe would be able to move a little faster on those.
Yeah, true.
Maybe part of the policy is too that, as the board looks things over and kind of debates it back and forth, maybe you don't issue verbal determinations. Maybe every determination is something that will be put in writing and sent to the resident. But we could talk about that. I guess that's more of something to chew on for the time being.
Sorry, I was writing. Anything else on that?
Related to the abatement policy, I don't think so.
Other business, number 5. Anything?
Yes, so we have a question for the board related to the collection of bulky items. So one of the things that we certainly noticed with the COVID shutdown, obviously more people are home, but the amount of people that are doing renovations and cleanouts has increased tenfold, I would imagine. So unfortunately, at this time, from where we stand, we kind of didn't have any inkling of that. We were trying to do our predictions on where our refuse tonnage was going to come in at. Typically, we use a 3-year average, and it's worked very well in the past. This year, with the amount of renovations, people buying things and different things like that, or just being home in general, we're noticing that at least for the month of July and August, those numbers have crept up a little bit. There was some talk in the springtime, and at the time we didn't feel comfortable moving forward with it yet, about potentially charging a fee for those bulky items. I still don't think it's the right time to try to implement something like that. But at this time right now, our policy is we'll take 2 bulky items a week. That could be 2 mattresses, 2 couches, 2 of anything that you just can't fit in your blue toter. So one of the things we're wondering is the board's thoughts and opinions on maybe writing the council and recommending that we shift that to 1 item a week so that we can reduce our refuse tonnage and ultimately try to keep some of our costs in line and not let that get to a point where it's going to become tough to manage or to control. So I didn't know if anybody had any thoughts or opinions one way or the other on that.
I definitely think 2 is a little excessive. That you can put 2 giant things out at your curb every week and they'll just get picked up seems beyond what most communities probably do. And it would be nice if the message that you can no longer put 2 came along with some other recommendations on what you could do with your bulky items, like, places you could donate, or like places that will actually come to your house and pick up donations for free, and simple recycling if I guess they really only do the bags, they don't do big stuff. But like there are the Buy Nothing and the Resident Recycle Facebook groups where people will take things off your hands, just about anything. If you go on Facebook and you post on either of those pages that you've got scrap metal, something that's metal you're putting out on the curb, some scrapper will come and pick it up for sure. So it might be nice to say, we're trying to cut down on our waste and also have more things be recycled and reused. And so here are some other suggestions. And then it kind of makes it a little less like we're just taking something away.
And we won't have to start charging you.
Right. Like I said, that's obviously not the route you want to go, but
No.
we also want to make sure that, God forbid, things don't, I'll say, return a little bit back to how life was in February. We just want to make sure that we've been proactive enough so that, we don't have to flip into damage control after we find out that we've had a couple of record months in tonnage, because, people are home, people are busy, people are not getting out, really.
So Joe, when are you thinking that you'd like to, kind of tweak the policy? Effective when, in the fall, or, the beginning of next year, or?
That's a good question. So that's something that basically what we would do is, if the advisory board seemed to align their thoughts with Public Works, we'd ask for a voter recommendation, then we'd write them a letter. And we just explain to them, we give them some of the data on why we're asking this now. And then we would look to them for guidance on when they would want to implement that, or how fast they'd want to implement that. I mean, I could see we could we could do it as fast as we could get the meetings to go, or we could push it off sometime. I didn't really think too far ahead related to that because I wanted to have the conversation first. What would you suggest?
Well, I just, you know, I hadn't really thought of it, but when you brought it up, I know just in my neighborhood, people are they're home, you know, so they're putting things out and, you know, if you know that you can put out 2 a week, it doesn't really prompt you. You know, I don't mean to I think it's a lot easier to put out 2 a week than to figure out who you're going to call to come pick something up and arrange that and, you know, what have you. But it would be nice proactively if we could realize that this could create a fiscal problem for us and try to have a workaround so that you could still put one item out. You could still maybe give to somebody else. And I'm just thinking of, you know, like with the cold weather, maybe we'd see a slowdown anyway, but sometimes like starting off like a new year with that's what I was thinking. Like, would you know, institute it in January or right after the holidays, something like that. And just.
We certainly could. Do you want to go over the stops, the data that you have, Ian?
Yeah, so in fiscal 20, we did 9,621 stops. And of those, 7,700 of them had a second piece. So it's like 17,000 bulky items were picked up in FY20. And then just compared to FY16, there was less than 10,000 picked up. We only made 5,700 stops. So it's definitely on the rise, you know, and I think with people being home, they're doing even more clean out. And I think everything now seems to be so expendable. You know, you buy a couch and then they don't hold it for 20 years. They throw it away in 3.
Right.
And I think Elaine is right. It's some of those things on Facebook are great, you know, giveaway or curb appeal or some of those things where people can get a whole new use out of them. It's amazing. A woman here at work got 2 drawers in a chest that almost looked brand new that she got through. Someone posted it and went and got it. So, but definitely on the rise.
Wow. What, Elena, what do you, Chris, what do you both think about, you know, amending?
I have no problem with it. Obviously, I agree with Elena's points, and then obviously fiscally too. You don't want to put ourselves in a position that we can't handle, especially with the future being so questionable right now. You know, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of question marks going forward. So I'd rather be a little on the safer side rather than have to come back and give the bad news. Oh, hey, by the way, we're going to start charging for this stuff. That wouldn't go over well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too.
Agree. And so right now we just can put out 2 and you don't have to call ahead. It's just, they can just go out. Is that right?
So we do like people to call ahead. So 1, we can keep track of the
Okay.
items.
Okay.
And then 2 is, so people don't think it's just you know, hey, I'll get 2 from my cousin in Medford and 3 from and we'll bring it all here and put them all out. So we do ask that you can either do it online yourself and put it in and it will let you do it. You can call or you can email.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it? Does anyone have anything else? No? Next meeting.
Chris, so I would say on that before we wrap it up, if the board agrees to, maybe we could vote that the board would support implementing a policy change to 1 item a week, and we can vote to implement that at the discretion of the town council. So what I'll do is we'll draft the letter saying that we talked about it, that with, you know, this is our recommendation of change. And then, you know, we'll task it to them to come up with when they would like to actually see that take place. And Ann and I would probably have to go to the meeting and present them some of the data, much like she just did which is driving, making that kind of proactive measure. But
Yeah, do you want to take a vote on that tonight?
if you guys are comfortable with it, that would be great. If not, we can table it. We can come back to it. That's fine too.
No, I have no problem taking a vote on it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we amend our policy. Is it a policy?
Yes.
To be curbside collection of one bulk item per week rather than two. At the discretion of, with the timing at the discretion of the town council.
Second,
Third,
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
so moved.
Me too, so move, so 3-0. Just kidding. All right. Okay, so next meeting.
So let me pose a question. We had talked about this before Matt came in and we started doing some of the water work in the spring. And then all the COVID stuff happened, so we didn't come back to it. Do we want to set these meetings to happen at a regular schedule? So, the second Monday of the month, or does the group want to still kind of evaluate it from meeting to meeting and then kind of go like that? It's completely up to everybody here.
Yeah.
I personally don't have one opinion either way. We're here, so I don't know how everybody else's schedule looks, or if it's a little bit easier for it to be more predictable.
I mean, so far so good. I mean, I kind of have a unpredictable schedule with the way I kind of have to travel. Elena, I'm sure your plate's nice and full. And Maria, I'm sure you're busy doing stuff as well. So it's up to you. I mean, it's up to you guys, but I don't mind communicating through email and at least agreeing on a date. I like when we're all here,
I do kind of like setting, if we're not going to have, I don't care really whether we have a regularly scheduled like second Monday or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do like attempting to set the date for the next meeting at the previous meeting, because I feel like I'm the one who's always last in responding to the emails, and don't want to hold up the process. Maybe that's just my perception. Maybe I'm not always the one who's last, but I feel like I'm always a day or two behind everybody else.
You wouldn't be busy, would you?
The fact that I'm doing two jobs might have a little bit to do with it. That'll hopefully end sometime around January.
Yeah.
What other job are you doing?
I'm still doing the city engineer job.
You don't have an engineer yet?
No, it was cut from the budget for the first till January.
Ooh.
I took one for the team, and I decided that, I might have told you this before, but they were going to cut the facilities manager position. And we had already offered him the job, and then the mayor said we have to cut it out of the budget because of COVID. And I said, cut anything but that.
Right. And especially this year.
So
Oh.
here yeah, exactly. So here we are. I mean, it was the best decision. I am far better off doing my old job and the new job than I would be doing the new job and the facility manager job, because at least the old job I knew how to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a lot.
it's all good, but it's a lot. And then with all the school stuff on my own kids' end of things.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, I defer to you two because I have a very, I can work my way around whatever's.
Mondays work for me. So if you want to throw out a couple Mondays, are there any Mondays that someone's not available? Do we want a little bit, Joe, maybe like the 19th? So you have some time to put some stuff together or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the 12th is technically Columbus Day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it then.
Yeah, I mean, the 19th works for me.
19th, 26th, whatever.
Completely up to the board.
Elena, how about you?
19th is good. Let me check 26th. Yeah, 26th is also good. So either one works.
You want to, well, we actually wouldn't have them by then. Trying to think if you need a bunch of extra time. It's up to you, Joe.
Are you talking for the recycling stuff?
Yeah.
So we probably wouldn't, that would be going out to the proposers, the beginning of the month, we probably would put the due date on that sometime in the middle of November.
Okay,
Either the last meeting of November or the first meeting of December, we would go through all of that.
okay,
So the month of October, we have plenty of time. The only thing we would do is we'd get out some of the abatement, the old application for abatement, and some of the other things too, so you can read it, kind of get your notes together so we can have a discussion and sort of build what the document looks like moving forward.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if we want the 19th, that's fine with me. Maria, are you
Yeah.
okay with that?
Yeah, that's great.
Adam, I'm sure you're okay with that.
Yeah, fine with me.
And Joe, everyone's good?
All good.
Good.
Okay. At 5:30?
If that works.
Yeah, I like 5:30.
Okay, good.
Okay. Adjournment. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Great to
All right,
see
thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.